joining me now in the studio is Akiko Hart, the Director of Liberty, the UK's largest civil liberties organisation. A very good evening to you. I'm going to make an assumption here that you oppose what the government seem likely to announce tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right. So what we're hearing is that the government is proposing to announce a mandatory digital ID system, the britcard, in order to reduce irregular migration. But it won't. There is no evidence that it would. Because what we've seen in countries like Greece and Germany, which have large underground economies, which have irregular migration, and which also have mandatory ID, is that there is no correlation between having mandatory ID and reducing irregular migration. But what we do know is that mandatory digital ID excludes people. It excludes people who are digitally excluded, people who might live in poverty, or people who may be older. There are 2 million people in this country who are not online. And if this came into play, they would not be able to access services.
Joe seems to be suggesting that it may well be based on the Estonia model, which involves, potentially for some people, maybe older people, a physical, actual cards. But even if it is on the phone, I don't know if you saw what I said at the top, but I mean, we have got used to people holding a lot of information about us on this, which largely has been protected. And by the way, if you've got one of these, I mean, you know, Google probably know way more about me than the government does. So why the concern about that?
Absolutely, and the world has absolutely changed in the last 20 years. And like you, I'm very online, my life is on my phone, and I may find this a little bit easier in terms of my day-to-day life. But when you're designing policies like this, you also have to think about the people it may exclude or harm. And there I come back to the 2 million people who are not, who are not online and who wouldn't be able to access services. To your point, there may be a way of doing this well, but any kind of digital ID system to work, to be kind of rights respecting, needs to be designed with those kind of rights-based principles at its heart. And critically, it has to be opt-in, not mandatory.
Well, but the point is, though, that we're actually an outlier on all of this. I mean, France has got ID cards. I used to live in Belgium. They've got ID cards. I don't think anyone views most Western European countries as kind of repressive regimes. I mean, if you can be a free French citizen and have an ID card, why not a British one?
Because I'm going back to the government's announcement here, and what the government wants to do, what
they're saying... So you're not in principle against this? You're just waiting to see potentially what the detail is?
Well, we need to see what the detail is. We would, in principle, oppose any mandatory digital ID card system or physical ID card system. It's that mandatory bit that I think is really, really important. But the government's announcement is about introducing digital ID cards in order to reduce irregular migration, and it will not. There is no evidence that it would do so.
Well, but the French have said for a long time that they think that one of the reasons migrants don't stay in France and come here is because there is a black market for people able to get work, essentially, because you only have to provide paperwork here, which can clearly be easily forged or ignored. I mean, clearly, if the system was implemented properly, I think it's fair to say it might work. It might. I mean, if people can access the workforce, surely that would act as a deterrent, no?
Well, in France, there is absolutely, as you say, mandatory ID, and there is also a huge underground economy, and there is irregular migration.
OK. Akiko, thank you very much indeed.